So I've managed to scale my business from £6,000 to over six figures in under a year. And whilst that is purely by the grace of God, it is also because I have been able to interact with people, and by the grace of God, divine destiny helpers have helped expedite my whole process. And today I want to discuss with you business etiquette and business tips as it pertains to working with people that will help in your business journey. And this doesn't just pertain to real estate, but any type of business that you are in. Business is all about people, and here are some key tips and key secrets that you will do well with to apply to your business to expand and scale. Hi, my name is Nicole, Airbnb real estate girly, and I'm here to give you the tips and the tricks on all things as it pertains to real estate. And today we're going to talk business in general. And I've got like 5 tips to share with you on how people can help transform your business. So, one thing that you need to consider is when you are trying to reach out to people to have them help you in whatever you need to make sure that you give before you take. Even the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. I think people can be sometimes quite short term in their thinking and thinking, I just want to take, and yield all the benefits today. But people are not thinking about the future. If you're able to sow into other people's lives, sow into other people's business, help them when they're in need, they will remember that favorably. And when it comes to your hour of need, they will come through for you also. It's really important that before you ask someone for money, or maybe if they know someone if they know someone in their network who can help you, ask them, what are you struggling with lately? How can I help you? How can I support you? Even if they say nothing, the fact that you asked would go a long way. People remember how you make them feel. Don't you hate it when someone comes to you and messages you and calls you, and you haven't spoken to them in a long time, and they're calling you asking for a favor? Whilst you might help them, you're thinking, I haven't spoken to you in such a long time. What you doing on the end of my phone? And as I mentioned, you might help them, but the way that they've made you feel, it ain't right. Versus the person that you know, whenever they're around, they're always willing to help. You just feel more inclined to help them. So I feel like for me, along the process, I've been willing to help other people, give advice to other people where I can. I don't know everything, but offer advice and my expertise where I can. And I found that in times of my need and in times of trouble, people have been able to do the same for me. So please, guys, number one, it's better to give than to take. Number two, be a person of your word, especially when it comes to external people. People will always remember like what you said, and maybe even if you don't honor the commitment or the promise that you have made, they'll remember it. They might not say anything, they might not bring it up, and you might think, yeah, I've got away with it. I'm slick, and I'm slick Rick, and I'm the best thing ever. But they have noted that in their head and maybe have completely written you off because of that. If you've told an investor that you're going to pay them back on X day, you better pay them back on X day. I don't even care if you need to go to a Barclays Bank to take another loan to pay back that investor, but you shouldn't be doing story times on the day that the loan is due, saying the investor that you don't have it. Why? Because it doesn't breed trust. As I mentioned, always in business, always think about the long term. You might have borrowed maybe £500 from someone, and they might be connected to someone who can lend you £1,000,000 in the next 10 years. But how you dealt with that person when they lent you that £500 and how you paid that back to them is going to determine if they're going to speak well of you and highly of you to the ballers in their friendship circle. We always need to think, okay, this is something that I'm dealing with today, but how will this speak of me in the future? So always be a person of your word. If you're going to be somewhere and meet someone, go there, meet them on time. If you're going to borrow some money from someone, take that money, and on that said date, give that money back, no delay. And obviously things happen, life happens. Business isn't always perfect. I understand that, but you need to ensure that you communicate. That takes me to number three. And essentially, you need to ensure that you're just over communicating, especially when it comes to investors or business partners. Over communicate. Or better yet, find out the way that your investor likes to communicate. I know this is quite investor heavy, but I work by myself. I'm a one-man band currently. So a lot of the things for me are dealing with my investors. But what I always like to ask them is, how do you like us to communicate? Would you like me to give you an update every single day? Would you like me to give you a leaflet or a newsletter once a quarter? I need to determine what is the best way for them. How do they like to be communicated with? And as a result of that, do exactly as they wish. Why? Because it's just easy. You're just trying to make your investor's life, or anyone who is trying to help you, you want to make their life easy so they can come back to you and continuously want to work with you. So I would say communicate in the way that they appreciate, and that will do you well in business. Number 4, which I've kind of touched on in the other point, but always think of the future. Sometimes you might enter into a deal that might not necessarily be the most profitable for you, and you're thinking, should I do it or should I not? And I've had deals that I've done that at the time might not have been the best deal on paper, but the things that they have brought me thereafter have kind of cancelled out anything that wasn't unfavorable at first. So I remember when I got my studio in Brixton, it needed a lot of work, and I wasn't sure if this was the best thing for me to do. One, because I didn't have that much money. I wasn't sure where I was going to get the money from. But what the landlord said to me is this: if you do this studio well, I've got other properties in the area that you can deal with. Let's see how this studio goes. And true to his word, I did the studio. I paid him his rent on time. I built that rapport with him, and true to his word, I got other properties, and that's how I was able to scale so quickly. So I really want to urge you that sometimes deals might not always be the most favorable, but you need to look further down the line and see what the future ROI could be of investing today. So I feel like that's number 4. Number 5, you need to have EQ. What is EQ? Emotional intelligence. I feel like emotional intelligence is what separates the people's from those who aren't the people's, because it's that emotional intelligence that will determine if you're going to ask a question, if you're going to stay silent. And it's the very subtle things that can go such a long way. Like, emotional intelligence can be like, you see someone crying, and maybe instead of you asking them straight up what's wrong, you maybe, I don't know, tell them a funny story in that moment to kind of help them take their mind off things before eventually later down the line asking them what was wrong, because maybe they might have not been in the capacity or the right setting or the right room to discuss what was actually going wrong. Or it might be trying to raise money from an investor, but before you've come to ask them about raising money, they've come to tell you that, you know what, times aren't looking so great right now, and I'm not really sure what the business trajectory looks like or what my financial trajectory looks like. It will slightly be remiss of you to then go on to say, hey, sir, I know you just told me that you're losing your house and things aren't going well. Can I get some money? Like, you need to be able to read the room in all things. Like, wisdom is needed. Like, I'm not gonna lie, emotional intelligence will change the game for so many people, because it will help you appear more in tune with the person that you're dealing with. And because you're more in tune with them, they feel more connected to you, you build more rapport, and they're more likely to be inclined to help you with favors. So guys, I really want to stress, emotional intelligence is so key. Yeah, I would say you either have it or you don't, but in life you can work on anything. So definitely, if you feel like emotional intelligence is something that you've got, definitely read some books on that, and yeah, get to it. And another thing that I feel like is so important, probably the most important one, is when you have destiny helpers in your life, you need to make them feel important and special, especially whereby you're in a season or a state whereby you can't offer them much. I have investors that, as of right now, baby girl's just trying to grow her business. Funds aren't always overflowing and abundant. So I have investors that have helped me, and they are much older than me, and they have loads of funds, and they're doing well in their career. There's not really much in this season that I can do to help them, but what I do make sure that I do is anytime they need something small from me, that I'm available to help. If they say, hey Nicole, I'm a bit busy, can you put a presentation together for me? You bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna put that presentation together for them and clear my schedule and do it with speed. Why? Is because I know that in this season, their finances, their support, their help has really helped expedite my process. If not for them, outside God, after God, everyone get that straight. If not for them, I wouldn't have been able to achieve the things that I've achieved so quickly. So for me, the least I can do is give them that help and support whenever they see that I can be the one to help them. Another thing to do is remember their birthdays. Remember, like, wish them a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Why? Because you don't just want that relationship to be just the, oh, I borrowed money and that's it. The more that you can build that rapport, make them feel special, again, means that in the longer term, when you're asking for money again, they'll remember how you made them feel in that process when they lent you money before. And I think that's really, really important. Like, my destiny helpers, the people that I've invested, I really take the time to just make sure that they're good, make sure that just to check in, just to make sure that they're happy with the arrangement, just to see how their family are. If I hear any like bad news, God forbid, a bereavement in their family, send them a text to be like, thinking of you, anything that you need. When it's their birthdays, I send them something small. And again, what I'm giving them doesn't even like is a drop in the ocean for what they have. However, I know that it's always the thought that counts, and they see me as someone who's like honest and who cares and isn't just there for the money. So that's really, really important. So these are some of the tips and the tricks that really helped me in business. I think it's really important to understand that business is all about people. The more you can understand people, work with people, understand what they appreciate and like, the better you will do in business. So that's me, that's Nicole. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.